Today we're going to be working on Leetcode question number 115 and distinct subsequences. And given two strings s and t, return the number of distinct subsequences of s which equals t. A string subsequence is a new string formed from the original string by deleting some can be none of the characters without disturbing the remaining characters' relative positions. So in this example, ACE is a subsequence of ABCDE, while AEC is not. So let's look at the example number 1. We have been given the S, which is RABBBIT, and the T, the other string, is equal to rabbit. And the answer is going to be 3 because there are 3 ways this RABBBIT can be converted to rabbit by actually deleting 3 B's at 3 different indices. Similarly, in this example, we have 5 different ways of converting S and T. Converting S into T. The way we're going to be doing it is so the first thing, it's going to be done with dynamic programming. We're going to be using basically an array which will work as a cache, and in the end, whichever is the last value of that array or list, uh, uh, like at the last index, that's going to be our answer. So every single time we're going to be basically deciding that we're going to take the previous value of the cache and add it with, like, increment it if the current character of S and the T matches. So first of all, we're gonna have two variables, L1 and L2. That's gonna be the length of the our S plus 1 and length of T plus 1. Okay, then there is gonna be a current which is basically gonna act as a cache. It's gonna be an array or a list with the length of L2. So initially we're gonna be initializing it with all zeros, but then we wanna initialize the first index, first element of this list current equals to 1. You can imagine that if both of them are zeros, or if, like, let's say S is one character and T is completely empty, there is one way in order to basically delete it and make an empty string. So that's why we are initializing our first element of that list, current list, equals to 1. Okay, now we're gonna say that we're gonna have a for loop where our I is gonna be in the x range starting from 1 to L1. So basically our I is gonna be going back and forth and iterate through the string S, because L1 is basically the length of the S. And every single time we're gonna do few things. We're gonna have a basically a previous copy of the cache, so previous copy of the cache, and then we have another variable j which is gonna loop through which is going to loop through our basically the other, like the T string. So we're gonna have 1 to L2. L2 represents the length of the string T. Then we're gonna calculate our current value of the cache. So we're gonna be putting it into cache, and the value is gonna be basically pre of j. Every single time we're gonna see the previous copy uh, of the cache plus uh, the like the current index of the previous cache, plus do we need to add it with the previous index of the copy of the cache. But is it gonna be added or not depends on this condition, that whether or not the previous uh, previous characters of s and t are exactly the same. So in order to test that, we're gonna say that s j minus 1 is equal to t j minus 1. So it's just the addition of the the previous of j plus the previous of j minus 1 if this this condition matches. Otherwise it's just the previous of j. Okay, that being said, in the end what we're going to be returning is the last index of this cache, like last element, last element of that cache. We have a syntax error. Invalid syntax, didn't like it. Oops. The answer is wrong. Okay, so our L1 and L2 are like the length of the two strings plus 1. Okay, and then our current is basically we're initializing it with 0, uh, and the length is gonna be equal to the basically the length of the t plus 1, because we're initializing, we need one extra in order to initialize, and that is good for I x. So we have to take that yes, and then we are actually our previous is basically equal to that. That is right. And then we're gonna be and after that we are actually iterating the j from 1 to L2, and then our current of j, the way we are calculating, is basically just the pre of j plus pre of j minus 1 multiplied by s of j minus 1 is equal to t of j minus 1. L1 L2 is right. That looks right. I think there's a typo over here. So the I is the one which iterates through the S. Yep. And it did pass all the test cases.